Hey there guys, my name is Kayla and I have an 8-year-old son named Shane with autism. I created this channel as a space where I can share everything I've learned along my autism journey in hopes of improving the lives of some families affected by autism. In today's video, I'm going to share with you specific tools that I used or things that I bought that actually really helped my son Shane finally get potty trained. He was 5 years old when the pull-ups finally came off, and honestly, it was a struggle. So I wanted to share with you exactly what helped. Visual schedules. We all know that they are very effective for children with autism, and when it comes to potty training, it's no different. I actually created a few of my own visual schedules in order to help Shane better understand the process and to be more comfortable with potty training, and I found them very, very effective. The schedules that I used was actually a combination of a visual schedule with a step-by-step how to go to the potty, but also had a reward chart attached to the same document. I will list it below in case you're interested, but some parents just use the visual schedule, some parents just use the reward chart. A combination of the two worked really well for me. But whichever it is, make sure that it's easy for your child to understand and that it's acting as an aid for them to better understand the process, to alleviate some of the stress surrounding learning to go on the potty, to just make them more comfortable. You can post a schedule inside the bathroom where it's easy for them to see on a regular basis. And of course, always reward them for using the schedule and trying to use the potty. It has to be a positive experience, so use positive reinforcements. And I want to say, those reinforcements should definitely be something they don't get on a regular basis. For example, if your kid gets cookies every day after school, they're not going to respond that well if they get an extra cookie for going to the potty, which is a huge deal. Reserve a certain sort of candy or a certain sort of positive reinforcement that they would only get when they go to the potty. One of the biggest and major challenges that we face when trying to potty train our children is to actually get them to stay on the potty long enough to go potty. Many kids don't want to be on there at all. It's cold, the bathroom's not that fun, and they just want to get off. So something that really was helpful for us was getting Shane to understand that he only had to be there a short period of time and that he understood when that time started and when that ended. Of course, like we use for many other things, we used what we call a time timer. This one I've talked about in other videos. It's really simple. We got it on Amazon. I'll link it also below. But basically, you just push it for as long as you want. Of course, I don't recommend long periods of time for potty training, especially in the beginning. But just them being able to see, okay, I'm only going to be here for 5 minutes, and they can literally see the time ticking away, and then it beeps when they're done. It gives them that sense of relief that, okay, mom says 5 minutes, but what does 5 minutes really mean? You know, it's a visual aid that, is going to work really well. So using a time timer is a great idea. The other thing that was really effective is that I went out and bought a toy that Shane was only allowed to use on the potty. Now, this can be anything that works for your child. It can be an iPad, it can be an interactive workbook, it could be just a regular old toy. But what I recommend is that you buy it brand new and that they are only allowed to use it on the potty so that they're occupied and don't mind sitting there. For example, my son Shane was super into dinosaurs when he was potty training, and he had a ton of dinosaurs, but what he didn't have was like these sort of electronic interactive dinosaurs that made noises and stuff. So what I did was I went out, I spent a little bit of money, and I bought him 2 huge dinosaurs that interacted, and he could fight them, and they made noises and they moved around, and he was only allowed to play with these 2 toys when he was sitting on the potty. It went away after he was done, and it came back out when I asked him to go back on it. Shane loved that. It helped him to relax while he was on the potty, and it just alleviated some of the stress because he was occupied on these new toys. He loved the idea of having a new toy that was just for the potty. Leading up to the potty training experience, we read a ton of books about potty training and how it worked so that Shane had a visual idea about exactly what was expected of him and how it was going to go down. There are 2 books that I highly recommend that I don't actually have anymore because he's potty trained and has been for a while, but I did buy them on Amazon and I will link them below. One was called like Potty Training for Boys or Boys Potty Time, I think, and then the other one was like a dinosaur themed potty book, and it was all about a dinosaur who learns to go to the potty. These books were amazing for Shane because they were very specific to him, one being about boys using the potty and the other one about dinosaurs, which he loved using the potty. And they were just super helpful. You know, reading them really made it so that he could understand what was happening and that it wasn't a scary experience, and being on the potty could actually be a fun and exciting grown-up, big kid kind of thing. Keep your child's interest in mind when choosing their book for potty training. For example, I talked about the potty training book that Shaney had. It was a dinosaur themed. He was obsessed with dinosaurs at the time. They have Elmo ones, they have Daniel Tiger ones I've seen. I mean, Amazon has it all. And if they don't have a theme book that your child would be interested in, you can always create a simple social story, which I've done many times in the past for various things that I wanted Shane to learn. I would just create some simple text, and I would add character images that I got off Google so that he would definitely be interested in the book that I was reading him. In addition to reading books and social stories with my son, I think it was very beneficial for me to speak with other autism parents and ask them specifically about their experience and how it affected their child and the process, because it's not the same. Autistic children face different barriers and different challenges, and speaking with other autistic parents and watching other YouTube videos, I definitely learned a lot about how I can help my son specifically in his journey for potty training. There are actually some specific books, one in which I read, I don't remember the name off hand, but I did find it on Amazon, so again, I'll link it below. But it was a specific book about potty training for kids with autism rather than just general potty training. It really outlined the difference and the approaches that you can take and the challenges that your child is going to definitely face, and it sort of opened my eyes to the process and really made it easier for me to help Shane along. Potty training is definitely a very difficult thing for any parent, but specifically I think it's a little bit more difficult for us autism parents. I hope that these tools that I've talked about could help you guys a lot, and that the potty training experience can be a little bit easier. Thank you so much for watching. I post videos every single Sunday and sometimes also on Wednesdays. So please, if you like this, hit the subscribe button to find out what I'm going to share next.